Hello again. This is Kay. So, real quick, before I started just dropping videos on this channel, um, I thought it'd make more sense to kind of give you all a background of who I am. So like I'll give you like a shorter version, for those of you that just want to hear the short version and that's it, and then like I'll give you a longer version. So, the short version, black man. I'm a black man in my late 20s, single, never married, never had kids. Born and raised in Maryland. Well, born in DC, raised in Maryland. I lived, up and down the East Coast, lived in New York, lived in Pennsylvania. If I had to summarize who I was as a person, briefly, I'd say, I'm a creative musician. I'm a loner, introvert, and gamer. Um, yeah, yeah, I go with those things. As far as interests, I'd say my interests are art, music, rap, mysticism, video games, logic puzzles, anime, a little bit of sports, and comics, superheroes, stuff like that. So satisfied with a short version. Cool. That's pretty much it. You'll probably get more of that throughout, sprinkled in like the content I put out in the future. But yeah, feel free to check off the video. I'm gonna keep going though, because I want to give like a more in detailed version of each of those things, because just in case y'all want to know, I don't know what y'all want to know. But yeah, man. So I'm gonna start with that. So I say I'm a creative person. What I mean by that? I'm a person that's always loved to draw. I've always loved to draw. When I got a little bit older, I got into painting. I actually went to school, college, graduated for with a degree in fine art. Yeah, but I've always loved drawing since I was like young. Like I know we all start out, coloring and whatnot. I kind of used to refer to it as like, I was that kid that just never stopped coloring. Basically, like I'd always, here and there, my free time, just kind of always keep working on my drawing skills from imagination. And then when I got to close to senior year of high school, I started getting into more like life drawing, more realism, stuff like that. Then when I went to college, initially I went for like civil engineering. Then I transferred schools and changed majors to fine art because it's a long story, but basically I grew up being an artist, but in school my favorite subject was always like math, and science was probably second. So long story short, those things kind of influenced me to want to go into civil engineering, as well as I was in the civil engineering program in high school called Project Lead the Way. Let me know if you've heard of that. But yeah, yeah, I was in the art. Kind of second guessing going into a career based on that. So I was like, you know what, civil engineering's more of a thing. Went to school for that. It's like realized like for my first semester, I was like, nope, this isn't for me. Second semester ended up withdrawing and changing majors, going to a different school basically. Went to study art, did portraits, life drawing, ceramics, sculpture, figure painting, lithography, printmaking, some digital art here and there, some web design stuff. I might I might actually go back and like edit some of my artwork in there, just so you can get an idea. I don't want to give y'all too much, but yeah, I'll let you see. But yeah, I was actually while I was in college, I was a member of an art gallery in DC. So like my art was actually on display and for purchase for about a year and a half. Um, so yeah, always been in the art. I can't say I've really ever dived completely into doing that. I've kind of always been like, hey, this is a thing I'm interested in. Why don't I do more of this? And then every time I got into it, it's like ended up going into something else that I'm interested in. After I graduated college, ended up serving 2 years with AmeriCorps. My first year was, if you know AmeriCorps, if you know City Year, I probably don't really have to explain much to you, but if you don't, I served in City Year in DC and Philadelphia. My first year I was basically a mentor to sixth grade students and seventh and eighth graders as well, but mainly sixth grade for like literacy and a little bit of math. Um, then my second year doing that, I served in a part of City Year that did Civic Engagement, which basically we went around to schools and had like hundreds of volunteers paint murals throughout the year. We did about 13 events, completed maybe like 800 around that much like murals. Um, I was a design coordinator during that process, so like I chose about, let's say, like 300 to 400 of those, and a lot of those I designed myself. It was a very spiritually rewarding year, but it was a very challenging year as well. But if I had to go back and do it again, I definitely would. I realized during that time that I was like, you know what? I thought at the time going into that I wanted to do like mural painting and stuff like that, and just like communities. I thought, you know what? I have this talent, I have this gift for creativity. I want to use that to give back. So like that was kind of going to be like my gateway into that. And as I did that, the process of that, it actually wore down on me a lot. Like the work itself was spiritually fulfilling, but everything else was like mentally and physically and sometimes emotionally draining. Um, and not to down talk City or anything. I mean, anybody that's done it, I appreciate you. Anybody that's interested in doing it, I won't shy you away from it. But it is like serious and intense work. And for me, doing 2 years straight of that, like 10-hour days, um, sometimes 6 days out of the week, it was a lot. And so like and I was realizing like, yo, like I was doing art, and this is like, while this is art, like I didn't actually directly do any of the painting myself. We just kind of we we designed the murals. We said where they go. We said like, all right, these are the colors they're going to be, and the volunteers did the actual painting, but we didn't. I'm getting a lot more into this than I thought I would, but it's all good. I don't mind sharing this. But yeah, like I didn't really do any creativity of my own. So like midway through the year, I was just thinking like, well, what is it I want to do after this? Do I still want to do this mural painting thing? Like, do I want to try something else? And I kind of had a revelation at that point in my life that maybe 10 years before that, I'd started like creating my own characters. Like I said, I always used to draw in my off time. My notebooks in like elementary school, middle school, high school. I used to just like sketch characters, like mini comics. I never really finished any of them, but I like design my own characters and give them backstories. And oh, they had this ability, and these guys were part of this faction and this one. And I had like this whole like world of characters inside of my head. I actually had several worlds actually of characters, and I was like, I want to see this character, these set of characters in a game. I want to see these set of characters in a show. I'm thinking of all these things, and as I was in there, I was like, how do I want to hold this stuff in for later, or do I want to like try to attempt this now? And so, kind of after I finished my second year of City Year, I decided to go back to school for game design, which I'm actually doing now. I was going to do animation, but the school I chose to go to, I spoke to a counselor, and she was like, yeah, well, you can go into the animation program here, but if you go into the game design program, you'll also get a bit of what we teach in the animation program. So I'm like, all right, well, if one of these is what I want to do, and the other one's what I want to do, but it also gives a little bit of the first one. Like, why not do that second one? You know what I'm saying? So got into that. Been doing that since. It's been like the last 2 years doing that. It's been a process. A lot has happened. Like, you probably wouldn't believe me if I explained the story of my time in school. Maybe that's a topic for another video. But yeah, man. I've been doing digital art a lot, like 3D modeling, stuff like that. As I said, I may or may not said, I'm a game designer, going to school for that. That stuff is not anything that I grew up doing. I grew up, like I said, painting, drawing, sketching, sculpting, things like that. So transitioning from life, like traditional art as they call it, to digital art is like, it's kind of a jump. Some of your mental artistic skills translate, but some don't. It's like, it's still like, it's a new thing in a way. Like, the process, but it's like the physical, like getting used to using a mouse or a touchpad or whatever you use to do the modeling in 3D programs, or like 2D programs like Photoshop, or even with the stylus and like the sketch pad and stuff like that. That's still like, for me, it's been like a process of getting into that. I'm I'm realizing I'm taking a lot of time on this. But yeah, that, in a nutshell, that's my artistic side of creativity. On a little bit of the other side is music, falls under creativity for me. I'm a person, I like to create, I like to perform. Music is both creating and performing. I like to write. On occasion, write poetry, write raps. Who doesn't? I growing up, I got introduced to piano at a roughly young age, maybe around like 5. I started like just messing with the piano. Then ended up taking lessons, piano lessons, a little bit after that, around like age 10. Then yeah, man. Since then, I took like piano lessons after a hiatus. I took piano lessons for about 8 straight years, from about age 10 to, actually, from age 13 to age 18. I took piano lessons. Yeah, something like that. From eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th to 12th. I think sixth, seventh grade, I was kind of playing it, but I wasn't actually like learning as much. I wasn't like going to lessons as much. I forget. Sorry, but yeah, I did that. Took guitar lessons, sang in a couple choirs. Kind of grew up in the church a little bit. Won't get too much into that. Not really religious at this point. Yeah, I like to sing. I like to rap when I can, reciting other people's raps or listening to music, or like, write my own raps and reciting those. I like to make beats as well. I've been kind of doing a little bit of that here and there over the last couple years. I might actually, let you hear just a snippet of a beat that I have so you can get an idea. it's kind of idea of what I can do, what I've worked on so far, my style, so to speak. As far as rap, actual rappers, industry rappers, like Jay Z, Nas, Jadakiss, Tupac, Busy Bone, Big Pun, Lil Wayne, Ludacris, name a few. As far as industry rappers, I've listened to a lot of rap. Most of the rap I listen to though has been from like the 90s to the 2000s, like 2000, 2010. So like 1990 to 2010. A little bit from the 80s. Um, yeah, a lot of the battle rap I've listened to in like the last decade has mainly been like battle rap. So like I kind of fell in love with battle rap around like 2008. Um, started with like Jump Off TV. If you're familiar with that. Then it went to Fight Club, Grind Time. Then that Grind Time went to King of the Dot. From there, I found out about URL, Ultimate Rap League. Then like Street Status. What's the one? Block City in Jersey. Don't Flop over there in the UK. I watched a lot of battle rap. RBE. I say my favorite league right now. If you know about battle rap leagues, there's this one called Verbal Warzone, which is battle rap league where they rap, they battle, but they battle over beats. There's like three different beats. It's like one beat per round, and I don't know. I like that. I like hearing rap over beats. So like it kind of combines both like my love for regular rap and for battle rap into like one platform. So I kind of like them, and I like a lot of the artists that are on there. So shout out to them. Shout out to Verbal Warzone. I'm also R&B head. When I was in high school, I kind of fell in love with like old R&B. Like I'm talking like the Stylistics, Delphonics, OJ's, Maze, Earth, Wind and Fire, like Marvin Gaye, stuff like that. And like moved on to like later stuff, and like your Jill Scott, your Erica Badu's, couple like more more recent stuff like Ari Lennox, Black, stuff like that. I say my favorite R&B singers at this point still like Anita Baker, Luther Vandross, and Sade. Um, into a little bit of gospel music, like mainly Kirk Franklin. Like I said, I grew up in a church, so it probably has like a little bit of influence. Funny enough, I like gospel music, a little bit of gospel music. I like a little bit of like metal music. One of my, I haven't listened to a lot of metal, but I've listened to mainly a lot of Iron Maiden. I've listened to like 5 of their albums. Not like 5 is like, just like an estimate, like literally 5 of their albums. My favorite one is The Number of the Beast. Actually, the first one I listened to, favorite song off there is Children of the Damned. Um, after them, last year actually, picked up this group called Cellar Darling. They have their album, The Spell. It's probably like my favorite album from last year, from 2019. And that's next to Ari Lennox, Shea Butter. Is it Shea Butter Baby? I know it's the singer. I forget the actual name of the album. But Ari Lennox, that album was probably my second favorite album of that year. Yeah, so outside of that's music. That's you got creatively what I like, what I'm into, what I like to do. So yeah, that's that. Uh, yeah, I'm also a little bit into like mysticism and stuff like that. So mysticism. I mean, like like astrology, like numerology, like tarot cards, stuff like that. Some of my favorite astrology books are like Sun Signs by Linda Goldman, Secret Language of Relationships, the New Astrology. That's the one where like they combine the Chinese zodiac with like Western zodiac and kind of make mishmash personalities out of, oh, you were born in this year in the Chinese zodiac, but you're born in this year, this month, so that makes you sheep Libra or something like that. Or so that's that. Study like Chinese zodiac, obviously Western zodiac, obviously Native American astrology, as they call it, Celtic tree astrology, a little bit of that. 52 card astrology, which I've learned is little. It's basically numerology, with like the life path numbers, but interesting stuff. Studied astrology and that type of numerology and that type of stuff basically as long as I've had this channel. So basically, the last 10 years. Um, Kind of started studying the tarot, like the arcana of the tarot, like 5 maybe years ago. So I'm a little bit into that. I'm not like an expert or anything, but like mainly I've studied like astrology, like the birth charts, the planets, like what the sun signs mean, what the different signs and the different planets mean. Slowly starting to get into like what retrograde means for each planet, what the houses mean, all stuff like that. Just stuff that interests me. Um, I'm also a gamer. Outside of going to school for game designs, I actually have always enjoyed playing video games. First console was PlayStation One. Then I moved on, got a Game Boy Color, got Pokemon Yellow version. So yeah, moved on to Game Boy Advance, PS2. Then went to Xbox 360, jumped to Wii, then got a Wii U, which is a very big mistake. A Nintendo Switch after I got a PS4, which both of those I currently have. My favorite genres are typically like RPG and adventure games. Um, my favorite video game franchises would have to be Pokemon, Legend of Zelda, Fable, Super Smash Bros, and The Sims. Um, yeah, I won't get into that for this episode or this episode. Yeah, I'm gonna shout it out here. So I'm on a podcast. I started with my cousin and a friend of mine. It's called the Women Respectors podcast, where we talk about anime, video games, and sports. Um, There's a story of why we call it the Women Respectors podcast. There's like our social group that we have via like PlayStation Network, which is about 20 to 30 people that we all know either in person or through PlayStation Network. It's kind of like it's an inside joke, but it's also like an actual thing that exists that we talk about. Like respecting women is kind of important to us. So yeah, it's like that's the basis of the name. But we actually we are on Spotify, we're on Buzzsprout, Apple Podcast, and Deezer. We have about 13 plus episodes out. We just put an episode out yesterday. I'm gonna link I'm gonna link those in the description for this video, so you can listen to it if you want. But yeah, I was confusing the episodes because we just recorded last night. Yeah, I don't want to get too much into like video game stuff for this video. But yeah, I'm also into math and kind of logic puzzles. Like I said earlier, math was like my favorite kind of subject growing up in school. Like I used to love like doing algebra and stuff like that. Like it's just something about it. Like I love like logic based puzzles and solving things like that and equations, and I don't know. I found it. That's rare for people that are both people to be both artistically inclined as well as be interested in or being interested in like logic based stuff like math. It's usually you get one or the other. People's brains don't usually lean towards both. It's like I don't know. I just thought that's how some people were. But yeah, that's me. Started for me with like Rubik's cubes, like Sudoku, like Samurai Sudoku, then like Super Samurai Sudoku, then like your like Ken, Kakaro, Hanjei, stuff like that, like Japanese logic puzzles. Um, yeah, then probably one of the last things I'll get into. I'm kind of into anime. I'm more of a casual person. Yeah, I'm more of a casual. Like I grew up, if you're the stuff like like Pokemon, Inuyasha, Yu-Gi-Oh, Big O, Cowboy Bebop, Fooly Cooly, stuff like that. I'm actually losing track. Dragon Ball Z, obviously, a little bit of Dragon Ball GT. Watched a little bit of Bleach. I say recent anime I've watched two. I'm only really watching two at this point. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and My Hero Academia. I was watching Mob Psycho 100, and I was watching Naruto Shippuden, but Naruto Shippuden, whole other story about that. And I stopped watching it a lot because of filler. Yeah, but Mob Psycho 100, I kind of stopped because I kind of caught up to where they were, and then I just never went back to it. But yeah, I'd recommend it. It's cool, especially if you like One Punch Man because it's made by the same guy. I guess along with anime, I'll probably throw in like superheroes. I don't lean towards necessarily like a Marvel DC kind of thing. I just have like my favorite people. I've always liked Gambit, always liked Venom. Yes, pretty much it. Like Venom, Gambit, Nightcrawler. Starting to like the Green Lantern a little bit more. Again, I'm casual with I'm casual with a lot of stuff, to be honest with you. But comics, never really read them growing up. So nowadays I kind of watch a lot of YouTube channels that are where they talk about the comics and what's going on, so I can kind of like know, okay, this is what this character's about. This is this character's story arc, stuff like that. Yeah. Um, but I've watched all of the Marvel movies except for like Ant Man and the Wasp. Actually, no, I watched that. Who am I lying to? I didn't watch the first Ant Man. There's another one in there in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I haven't seen. But yeah, I've watched a lot of those. Watched the DC and their cinematic universe. I watched a lot of their movies. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't need to drag that on. All right. So, lastly, it's I kind of have to say this. Well, I want to say this, and I have to. So I'm gonna try to be careful with this one, but it's politics. A lot of people, say stay away from politics and whatnot, but so I'm a black man, obviously in this country in America. Being black has its consequences, and I have over the last like 4 years kind of tried to educate myself on like history, of like black people with identify as American descendant of slaves or foundational Black American or B1 as they call it. And I come from slaves. That's my ancestry. I'm not ashamed of it. I don't run from it. I know we built this country, et cetera, et cetera. And my political ideology kind of leans towards like stuff revolving that and like candidates that want to provide for black people in this country. Like we are I understand we are at the bottom of the rung socially and politically in this country. And I don't want to get too much into that. Now I just want y'all to know, like, and this is part of who I am. I don't want to hide that particularly. I don't want to just spring it out on people and then be like, oh, what's this about? Like it is what it is. It's part of who I am. I'm not going to make this a political channel. I may do a video here and there where like I talk about stuff, but it'll be obvious in the title that this is what I'm going into. This is what this is going to be about. So yeah, that's that. I want to put that out there because I thought about it and it's like I don't want this to be something that has just been on my heart, and then like years later I just never talked about it, and then like some political issue comes up and I speak out about it and people are like, oh well, you've never said anything. It's like it's just easier. I'm the type of person, I like to operate with clarity. I like to be honest with people from the jump so they know where I stand, they know what I'm looking for, what I'm about, so there's less confusion, and if that's not what you want, if that's not what you're interested in, like I'm not gonna be mad at you for not wanting to listen to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you? You know what I'm saying? But I still gotta be who I am at the end of the day. I gotta be happy with who I am, and part of that is me telling my truth. So yeah, that's basically me in depth. I covered I covered a lot, but actually a little about myself. Like I said before, you're probably going to get to know more of who I am through the videos I put out in the future and the content I put out in the future. Yeah, again, yeah, this was fun. Just wanted to give you all a brief idea for those that stopped after like the first minute or whatever, and like a more in-depth idea so you can get kind of more to work with, so like who is this guy I'm subscribed to. Um, but yeah, that's me. That's K. Um, yeah, man. Once again, I'm a member woman of the Women Respectors podcast. Um, I'll probably link that like here in the video or in the description somewhere. And yeah, uh, thanks for listening to this video. Hopefully, those of you still here listening are ready for the ride, man, because I got some stuff planned, and I've just given you a little dose of me. So, you know, hopefully you'll be around to get other bits and pieces of who I am. So, yeah, on that note, I'm gonna end this video here, man. So,